Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Mafalda. I'm the creator of Bookworm Retreat, so this channel of my blog that you can find the link in the description box, and of the Instagram Bookworm Retreat, obviously. So thank you so much for watching, and yeah, if you guys don't know, this channel is about books and lifestyle and all of that, but mainly books. And so bearing that in mind, I bring you all a new review on a book that I read last week, but I decided to do a review this week because I decided I needed a couple of days to settle everything down. So this book, this amazing book, I have the new cover, or the newish cover, because you do have another version that has the helmet on it. I really like this one a little bit better, even though I read. So let's start from the beginning, shall we? So I read this book in 2018 on my phone, like several years ago, pre-pandemic, pre-COVID and all of that, and I read it because a friend of mine actually told me that the book was amazing, and I was like, sure. I mean, at the time I didn't read that much because I was doing my master's and I was feeling kind of tired of books. How is that even possible? So obviously I wasn't reading the right books. But so I was like, I need something different to read, and can someone please give me any suggestion? And he told me, read The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, and I was like, cool, I can read it. And I read it on my phone and I loved it. And so this year I decided that I wanted my own physical copy, you know, just so I could read it and enjoy it as every single book should be enjoyed, even though I read on the e-reader, but I do prefer physical books. And I decided to buy this one on the book promotions like 2 weeks ago, and I read it this week, and I remember reading it in 2018 and fell in love with the characters, fell in love with the book, and that happened again. Oh my god, I mean, so you guys have no idea how amazing this book is. So first things first, this book follows the story of Patroclus and Achilles. If you guys don't know who Patroclus and Achilles are, they are the main characters, or one of the main characters of one of the biggest books of all time, like the Iliad, I think that's how you say in English, sorry. And alongside with Paris, Helen of Troy, Hector. So if you guys don't know the book Iliad from Homer, you do have a movie it's called Troy, and he's here. And you do have a very good Achilles, that's Brad Pitt, but it doesn't matter, because the thing that matters is that so the story follows those two characters and the life of them before the War of Troy. So we do know that the War of Troy lasted 10 long years. We do know that Patroclus died, I think it was on the 6th or 7th year, or on the 8th, something like that. So between the 6th and the 8th year, I don't quite remember, but something like that. And Achilles died shortly after. And everyone was like, every single person that reads the Iliad they don't really know if Patroclus and Achilles are a couple or not. And I do read it like several years ago. It's one of my favorite books, even though you do have the Odysseus. I write it down here. So you do have that book, and I know some people prefer the story of Odysseus and his journey home to Ithaca, but I actually enjoyed more the War of Troy itself. So I do remember reading it in 2013, in the beginning of my university days, and I read the book and I fell in love with all of the characters, mainly Achilles and others, but Achilles was one of my favorites. And when I knew that Madeline Miller wrote a book about Achilles, Patroclus, Briseis, and all that, I was like, dope, I need to read that book as soon as possible. So the book follows those two characters before the war, how they grew up together, how they were very close, and at the same time the book also talks about how someone that was never loved before, because Patroclus is a prince and he came from a father that didn't know how to demonstrate love. So he was very closed in himself. He was very scared of reacting or of having feelings towards someone. And you do see that with Achilles, he starts to open up a little bit because he lived in a toxic environment. I mean, obviously, but Achilles is different. He's loved and he's adored because he's the son of Peleus and Thetis, that's a goddess. So he has a natural light in him that Patroclus feels drawn to, and you do feel that throughout the book Patroclus opens up a little bit more, and you do see the evolution of Patroclus and Achilles as one. So you do know that they are together, you do know that they love each other, so it's a more like LGBT kind of book, which is amazing. And I really liked how Madeline Miller naturally follows, the course of the story. She doesn't force anything. It doesn't feel like it feels like they belong together. You know what I mean? So it's really cool. And yes, so they actually, and that's known. That's part of the mythos of the Achilles and all of Greek history. So Achilles is actually, his mother doesn't want him to fight yet in the war because she knows that he will die there, and it's not because it's how do you say it? It's a prophecy. So she knows that he will die there. She doesn't know how he will die. That's the problem. She does say that it's actor that will bring his death. So everyone kind of sinks in the book, and if people didn't read the Iliad, they do feel like Hector is the one that will kill Achilles, which everyone knows that's not what's going to happen. And so you do have a feeling throughout the book that Patroclus knows, and I mean you do know that Patroclus knows because Achilles told him that his mother said that Achilles would die in the war. So Patroclus always has that conscience that soon Achilles will die and he will lose the love of his life, and he's actually very keen to end his own life after Achilles is dead. So you do have that melancholy, kind of depressive feeling and thoughts throughout the book, which is not as dark as someone would think, because it's kind of like the fatality of it, like you do know that they will die, so you do know that everything is predestined and everything is already there, but you do end up falling in love with the characters, which is awesome. But yeah, so Patroclus and Achilles try to flee from the war. His mother Thetis tries to hide Achilles in an island, and everything happens, but unfortunately they end up going to war and they end up growing in the war. So they are 17, 18 when they both go to the war, and they ended up die at 28, or more or less 10-ish years. And yeah, so you do know that Achilles and Patroclus are a couple. You do know that Briseis is kind of a slave, but Patroclus actually feels sorry for the women and how they are being treated in the war camps. So he actually asks Achilles to every single time that a woman appears to try to collect that girl and send them to their part of the camp, and they end up being not slaves but as part of the of that ecosystem that Patroclus is creating to them. They are protected, they are not forced in anything. They just do a kind of a labor, but it's because they are there, not specifically because they are slaves. And actually, it's there. You have a part in the book that you know that the women are not being forced, but they actually end up falling in love because they spend time with people and people fall in love. It's normal. So you do have a sense of normality appearing in the book, and then everything goes downhill. So as we all know, and if you do not know, please skip, because this part is tragic and dramatic. But as we all know, Patroclus dies, and he dies because Agamemnon, which is Agamemnon, he in order to punish Achilles, he takes Briseis away. And that's actually how the Iliad actually starts. So Iliad starts with the I only know the first part in Portuguese, so I can't translate it in English, but it actually starts with that specific part, saying that Agamemnon stole Briseis, Achilles' wife. So you do know that that's how Iliad starts, and you do have that episode up in the book. So you have that pride that is hurt kind of thing. So Achilles refuses to fight for the Greeks unless Agamemnon gives him his bride, so Briseis. And because Agamemnon doesn't want him to have Briseis back, because he wants to teach him a lesson about obedience and honor and blah blah blah, he doesn't give Briseis back, and the Greeks are losing, and everyone is losing their minds. Every single person that everyone knows is dying, because even though the part of Achilles that's not fighting, because Achilles has a specific army, they aren't fighting, everyone else is fighting, and they are dying. So Patroclus actually ends up going to the fight, even though he wasn't a good fighter. We know that in the book, we know that in the Iliad, he wasn't a good fighter. He was better with, medicine, as kind of that thing, and he ends up going to fight, and he dies because Hector kills him. And that's how Hector will bring death to Achilles. So when the fight ends and Achilles finds out that Patroclus is dead, Achilles refuses, and that's also in the Iliad. So Achilles refuses to do the funeral to Patroclus, and ends up, sleeping at the side of the body. That part is kind of weird in our eyes, but I do know that it happened because of grief, because Achilles was so, desperate and depressed, and actually he was feeling very guilty because it was his fault, because if he went to fight, Patroclus wouldn't been there. So yeah, and you do have all of those dark emotions in Achilles, and so it's very difficult for him to make peace with Patroclus living or dying in this case. And so he ends up going to the part of where the Troy walls are, and challenges Hector to a fight, and he ends up killing Hector. So everything that was predestined, and everything that his mother actually told him it would happen, because it was he couldn't kill Hector because Hector was the one that would bring death to him. He only realizes that he did that after killing Hector, but it doesn't matter because Patroclus was already dead. And we do know that Paris ends up killing Achilles with an arrow, led by Apollo. We do know that, it's in the Iliad as well. So everything to that point, that specific part, the part of the Trojan War, it's not that news. I mean, I do love Patroclus' point of view, obviously, but that specific parts we know already. What I really liked was then. So we do know that Achilles had a son with someone from the Lemons island, that island that he was hiding. We do know that he had a son, and his mother was actually the one that was educating the boy, and the boy ends up going to the war as well. and they win. Everyone knows that Troy falls and the Greeks win. So when they won, the son, Pyrrhus, the son of Achilles, is actually the one that is responsible for everything that his father had. So it's like the property thing that happens also during our days. And so he ends up, discussing where his father is buried. His father is buried, and you know how Greek funerals are, right? Ancient Greek funerals are. You burn the body in a pyre, and the ashes are then collected. So Achilles, before dying, said that he wanted his ashes together with Patroclus, and he wanted them to be buried together. But his son said, no, why does my father want to be buried with a servant boy? He doesn't want to be a servant boy. Doesn't matter. So Achilles has a stone and he's already buried, but Patroclus doesn't find peace. So we do know that Patroclus is there, like his spirit is there. You couldn't find peace because nobody did the funeral, and that's actually something that happens in Greek mythology a lot, and it's very connected to the idea that we need to bury our dead people, our dead, because if we can't do the proper funeral and the proper rites, the ritual and all that, they end up feeling left behind, so they don't find peace. That's the right. And so Briseis also dies because he kills her. So yeah, you end up, and he ends up dying sooner than his father. So Pyrrhus is very interesting. It's a very interesting character as well. So Patroclus is, in the earth, and Achilles is already finding peace. So Thetis appears, Achilles' mom appears, and actually Patroclus knows that she can hear him, even though she hates him because he was the reason that his son was killed. Since the beginning she hated him because he was a boy, and her son was in love with a boy, so she hated him since. I think that she hated him because he was in love, because he was a boy. I think that she hated him because deep down she knew that he would be the doom of her son. She knew from the beginning, from the moment that she met Patroclus, that Patroclus would be Achilles' death, Achilles' doom. So I think that deep down she knew that, and that's why she hated Patroclus so much. But at the end, or at the end of the book, you do know that Thetis and Patroclus end up talking, and she asks if Patroclus has any memory of Achilles, because she is a water nymph, so she ends up spending most of the time in the water, and she lost her son's development and everything. And so Patroclus shows all of his memories, because as he says, he's made of memories, and that was one of my favorite quotes. I'm made of memories, that's what he said. And he ends up showing every single memory that we have since page 1. So we do know that the book till here is actually the memories of Patroclus being showed to Thetis, which was actually pretty cool. And at the end they end up not talking, and then she said it is done, and he's like, what's done? And then he realized that the stone, the heavy stone where Achilles' name was placed, as a memory kind of thing, you do have Achilles and Patroclus. And finally Patroclus, like years after years waiting for his chance, he finally can meet Achilles again, which is pretty cool, and I really liked it. So the book is about grief, it's about loss, it's about loving someone so much that you don't mind losing your life because of him or her, because of that person. And that's, I cried in 2018, and I cried again when I read it last week, because I do feel that even though it's a very darkish, in the sense that it's oppressive and sad book, I do believe that the book shows us that even though we are all doomed in the end, because every single person here will die, we do, and fatality is something that we all are aware, we do have those tiny little moments where everything is worth it, right? So I think that the book shows us that if you love someone deep enough, if you learn to love yourself deep enough, if you have someone at your side that loves you no matter what, then what is there, you know? And I think that this book is one of my favorite books. If you are looking for something, I highly recommend this one. I don't have enough words to say it's my favorite from Madeline Miller. I read Circe, I liked it, but I didn't enjoy it as much as this one, and I can't wait for her next books. But yeah, this is my favorite book of her, and one of my favorite books of all time, so I highly recommend this book. That's it, guys. I don't have anything else to say. I mean, I spent like 10 minutes or something talking about Achilles and the Song of Achilles. I hope you guys liked it. I hope that the book review is enough and not enough at the same time, so it can leave you like wanting to read the book, because the book is actually that good and the hope is so worth the hype. But I do hope that you liked this video. If you did, please give a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I try to post every single Monday. If you do want to see more of my videos, I do a lot of book reviews, or I try to do a lot of book reviews. And yeah, so that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one. Have a great week, and good reads!